You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Real Short Box. My name is Darren.
And my name is Supreme Chancellor Kevin.
I am the ultimate nullifier, Don.
Outstanding. You could probably nullify his chancellorship.
Absolutely. That's why I chose it.
Okay. Do you have like a nullifying weapon you can use?
The ultimate nullifier, yeah. I could basically use myself to just destroy every atom of Kevin's existence.
Yeah, guys. Look, and I want to tell you right now, we are really excited. We were really excited because today we're going to be starting something that's quite outstanding. We are going to evaluate all MCU movies. 21, correct, Kevin?
Actually, 23.
23 MCU movies.
There's a few we all want to forget about.
Yeah, that's true. There are a couple we want to forget about.
This is a tremendous undertaking. We're really grateful that you're here with us, but we're going to have a great time with this. And also, too, I'm just really excited just thinking about all the live streams that have been done. You know, we're moving up, and we're just glad that the audience that has stuck with us from the very beginning is right there with us.
Moving on up
to the comic book side.
Moving on up.
That reminds me, Black Panther will probably be somewhere on this list.
It has to be.
Right? All right. So here's how we're going to do this. As always, we're going to start from the bottom and go to the top. And
some of you will be offended, but hey, it's just the way it is.
Look, and what's funny is all three of us generated this list together, but that didn't mean we all agreed.
It took us a half an hour of solid arguing
in order to do it. It's more like 2 days of arguing.
Yeah,
it's 2 days of arguing.
We did arm wrestle over one.
That's true. We did arm wrestle over one.
I lost.
And the bottom line is, guys, that you're all wrong. But it's okay because, you know, we kind of put something together here, and we, of course, want your comments. We want your interactions.
I masturbated every day. My arms would be that big, too.
And eventually, when we go do our live streams, we will want your phone calls. All right, Kevin.
Let's start.
I'm talking about Jim Carrey and the number 23. What is 23?
It's your favorite basketball player's number, isn't it?
Mikhail Jordan?
Yes.
Or wait, he's 45.
Well, that's
true.
That's true. Good point. Number 23, Iron Man 2 from 2010.
Yeah, that was. I rewatched it very recently within the last couple months, and I must say it was boring. It was hard to watch.
Convoluted.
Mickey Rourke looked like he just didn't know. Like, he was out of it.
He didn't want to be there.
Fucking out of it.
You could tell he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah, it just wasn't. Whew, it was a bad film. So yeah,
even with the introduction of the War Machine,
there's really only like one scene I kind of like. It's with the NASCAR thing.
That was cool.
But I'm telling you, once you introduce, I can never remember his name, the star of the movie Moon. He was in the remake of Poltergeist. Played the father, Sam Rockwell.
Oh, Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell bored me to tears, and Sam Rockwell
wasn't he Hammer? What is
Justin Hammer.
Yeah,
but he's a good actor. And the fact is, it's just yuck. As a real Iron Man fan that you're listening to say this right now, this movie's just yuck all around.
I know, you're a big Iron Man fan.
It was a weird transition, too, because I want to say it's the first movie that Marvel did under the Disney banner, and it was just messy all around. Jon Favreau, we know, is a much better director than the movie that came out.
Well, unfortunately, behind the scenes, there was interference, so it wasn't like it was a fully...
he got Raimi'd.
Yeah.
Because
think about it, they had to squeeze in Black Widow, they had to squeeze in certain plot points, for future movies. So
I like Black Widow. Don't get me wrong.
No, nothing wrong against Black Widow. Just you had to squeeze things in to set up future movies.
A lot of it had to do with the lackluster villain.
But the one thing too, and this is something I'll never forget about this movie. I swear it ran out of money in the last 15 minutes. That thing came together too quickly.
Yeah.
Just awful.
The final fight scene was boring.
Dude,
lasted 5 seconds. No one cared.
You miss Ironmonger, don't you?
Whiplash's death was pathetic.
Yep, certainly was.
All right, let's move on to number 22.
Number 22, Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Okay, so
I have a rant, but go first, please.
Watching this film in the theater, I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I felt that they disrespected the Skrulls.
They disrespected the
As-
Marvel. They
as
respected
characters.
Marvel.
Oh yeah, they disrespected Marvel as a character.
Yes.
Look, don't get me wrong. You can gender swap. I get it. You can certainly do that. But what they don't understand when they're making movies is that there are fans out there that have been following certain
For
characters
decades.
since they were born. You know,
Decades.
like it's like if they made Ted Cord, the Blue Beetle. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do a web series called The Blue Beetle Ted Cord Returns. It's on rumblespoon.com. But anyway, when they do this with characters, so when they, like if they took Ted Cord and they said, by the way, Ted Cord is a lesbian, and you know, that's just the way it is. I would be like, whoa, wait a minute, Ted Cord's actually quite the ladies' man, which I guess works if he's a lesbian. So okay, you got me there, but Ted Cord's definitely a man, not a woman. And then when I would get upset about this, people would say, oh, you can't be upset about that because, you know, then that makes you misogynistic.
And you're mansplaining.
Right. Well, I don't think that's quite it, but yeah, in a way, it would be thrown back on me that I'm not willing to accept change. I am willing to accept certain things,
With new characters.
like when they took the Kingpin and Michael
We
Clark
always
Duncan.
bring that example
Yeah,
up.
that's a great example because
Yes.
it worked so well.
Or even Nick Fury.
Even shoot, I can't remember her name, but I was all for a Black Wonder Woman. I really was. And there was a certain woman. She played Zoe, I believe it was Zoe, in Firefly and in Serenity. And I thought she would have made it
Is that
amazing.
Gina Torres?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if is her name Gina Torres?
Well,
it might be.
Are you talking about Lawrence Fishburne's wife?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's her.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's Gina
Gina
Torres.
All right.
Torres.
She's amazing.
And a nice
She
lady.
was amazing as that character in Firefly, and I think the age capped just a little bit below where she was, and unfortunately, you know, but like for me, she was my number one choice. Am I glad Gail got
Worked out.
got the part? Yes, absolutely. She did a wonderful job. But I could also see that my choice, my idea, would have been very unfriendly to certain people that saw Wonder Woman as a particular person. So I get it. What they did with Marvel
And also Nick Fury.
and well,
You know, like the origin of the injury.
Oh, you're talking about the cat.
Yeah, I was like, what's up with that?
spoilers, but yeah, the way they explained his eye was just stupid. It was just really dumb. The movie itself is just, it panders. It's lowbrow humor. The character herself of Captain Marvel, it's one dimension. There's no fun to her. There's no enjoyment in that character.
May I say something?
Sure.
Kevin, I need the handkerchief right now. I have met over 100 actor celebrities in my lifetime. I've worked with over 1,000 more.
Some of the best.
I've never met Brie Larson. So I do not in any way want to say that she's a bad person, a good person. I don't know. I really don't. But I have never seen a character so off-putting, an actress been so off-putting to a character. Her interviews flabbergasted me. Like, who does this woman think she is? It's just absurdity to the nth degree. We'll get into Endgame probably and bring this back up again. But there's just nothing interesting about this Captain Marvel. And I'm sorry. If you read the book, you know there's more to this. There's more dimension to this. And you are alienating your audience. And you don't have to do it.
You know, behind the scenes, I always thought Monica Rambeau should have been used first for Captain Marvel.
I'm finished.
I would 120% agree.
She was awesome in the comics.
She was a great character in the comic books, and also introducing a woman of color and another woman character, doubling down on that would have been great. You know, I mean, plus, And don't get me wrong, I would be against it if she was a shit character. But
Right,
she
of
was
course.
a cool
She's
character.
a cool character.
And she led the Avengers
That's
for
right.
a while. So
That's
she
right.
has that strength.
Look, and a note on that, just my personal view of it is very simple when it comes to these characters. They're fictional characters.
Right.
They could have purple skin for all I care.
Right.
Just make sure you
Personality.
do it correctly.
Have
Right.
it written
Convince
well.
me.
Have personality.
Yeah.
Because once again, you swap out skin colors. What is the difference between Michael Clark Duncan and the Kingpin? Like, seriously.
Or David Hasselhoff and Samuel L. Jackson.
You see my point.
And you're talking to a guy that would argue for David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. I love that stinking made-for-television movie. I thought it was great.
Hey.
I own a copy of it. I bought it on DVD.
The Hoff is a cool guy. I have nothing against the Hoff.
The Hoff is
It's a
right for certain things.
Bad film, but
He
it's
has
a
a
great
special place in my
bad
heart.
film.
Knight Rider is a special
All
place
right.
in my
Let's
heart.
not give this any more time. What's the
Okay.
next one?
Yeah, I'm sorry, honestly, to disappoint everyone that really wanted us to ream Captain Marvel. 21. Please.
Number 21, Thor 2, The Dark World.
Okay, I'm going to make the case right out of the gate. This is better than Thor. I'm sorry. It's more entertaining. I did not... Okay, it was released in November. Not
Right.
one human being probably remembers it was released in a theater. But when I put this on, I'm like, oh, it's a library rental, whatever. I liked it more than Thor. No, I'm not going to... This is not going to be the tree I die on here, but I'm just saying that it's more enjoyable for me.
What made you enjoy it more?
The powerful
The
death.
villains were better. The mythology, there was a little less of the mythology. It was very straightforward. I didn't have that origin story of Thor was irritating to me in the first one. It was slow. It was boring. Kenneth Branagh, for me, was the absolute wrong choice. And I'm not going to defend Alan Taylor and say he's some amazing film director. He most certainly is not, in my view. But it was just more to the point. It was more interesting, and I liked the villain more.
Yeah, I will say that Christopher Eccleston, he always brings it. He always alienates himself from everyone and everything when he works on a set. Apparently, I don't know why, but he always brings the passion that comes with the character, and I appreciate that. The first Thor movie, we had Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and Loki to me
One of
did
the
not,
best Marvel villains.
but he did not get interesting until the Avengers movie. That's when I truly liked Loki and felt that he was a
So you
good,
felt the character growth happen in
good
that movie.
character. Yeah, but before that, nothing. Nothing. Couldn't care less.
I've never liked him.
Tom Hiddleston?
I just don't like the way the character fits into the movies.
I see.
The character's fine in the book, don't get me wrong. I just don't like what they did with it. But
And I will say that you'll never find a more gentlemanly actor
Then Tom Hiddleston?
than Tom Hiddleston on a set. Like I know from secondhand experience, he's a scholar and a gentleman, and nothing less.
Well, yeah, and culturally, the British are always polite.
Except for Christian Bale on
and
the set
respectful.
of Terminator.
Well, Shane Hurlbutt. Yeah, he got slammed over there. But by the way, thank you for the gear on Lone Wolf McRae. Anyway, number 20, please.
Number 20, Iron Man 3, including the Hail the King short.
All Hail the King, yeah.
All Hail the King short.
For those of you that don't know, the All Hail the King was about a, what was it? It was like a 10-minute?
Yeah, probably like a 10-minute short or so.
14-minute, I think it was. It was like 10 to 14 minutes. I think it was 14. It was 14-minute documentary style. So basically it was a documentary filmmaker interviewed the Mandarin impersonator played by Ben Kingsley, which is Trevor something, to unlock the secrets of his past and find out if the terrorist group, the Ten Rings, really exists. So what we find out is that the Ten Rings does exist. It doesn't have anything to do really with the other guy that was supposed to be possibly the Mandarin that wasn't, and Ben Kingsley's character who wasn't the Mandarin. So nobody in Iron Man 3 was actually the Mandarin. The Mandarin was more of a sleight of hand.
Totally.
Basically saying that, the Ten Rings will give you a sleight of hand because they use their hands because of their rings. So I get that. I appreciate that. And that 14-minute short made Iron Man 3 worth watching for that alone. Without that short, Iron Man 3 would have been really a lot...
Towards the bottom of the list.
Right, it already is, but I mean, it would have been even worse for it. And we all appreciate the director.
Shane Black.
Thank you, Shane Black. We all appreciate Shane Black and his work. Particularly, I will note King Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend it. It's a wonderful film.
And we like him in Predator, too.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, My thoughts on Iron Man 3 are
Predator
quite simple.
as well.
Yes,
I
it's a
don't-
true Predator as well.
I don't-
Be careful, it's true.
I don't quite mind this film until I rewatched it. And it's not that I'm like, God, this is terrible. It's more like there's just almost no rewatchability.
Yeah.
For my personal taste, Guy Pearce is one of the finest actors in Hollywood. Just the range that he can play, the chameleon-like roles that he takes on, I really like. And Shane Black has obviously had his misses. He clearly was not the right person to do this movie.
No.
It was quite obvious. And once again, like the whole extremists thing, it's a cool storyline. I would have preferred other storylines be made into movies for Iron Man.
Like Demon in the Bottle.
Well,
yeah.
that's
After Disney took over, there was no hope of that.
kid unfriendly, unfortunately.
Right.
Oh.
I mean, we all saw Iron Man 3 as the let's advertise every Iron Man suit so we can make 30,000 different figures.
That's
and
true.
make
No,
money.
That's
Donald.
true.
Some people call me a terrorist.
Yes.
I consider myself a teacher.
We really saw it coming.
Now, when I saw that teaser trailer for Iron Man 3, you know how pumped up I was? I thought, oh my God, the Mandarin's there. He's going to bring it. He's going to bring it. And then they had that stupid plot twist. I was so angry. I'm glad I watched this movie at the discount theater because I was ready to like tear a chair out.
Hey,
Yeah.
come on, Ed.
Well,
yeah,
they're
the Mandarin.
Much easier to pull out of the ground at discount theaters. So
Yeah,
good.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because here's my thing. Yeah, we talked about this years ago. My criticism is this. I understand because there was like some Chinese scenes that were filmed for China,
Mm-hmm.
I recall.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to offend the Chinese, then I understand. They probably helped out with the financing.
Mhm.
Just don't use the character. Use somebody else. Use MODOK. Use Fing Fang Foom or something, you know?
No, can't use that.
Oh, yeah, true. Good point. MODOK's good. Use MODOK. Something. Because Mandarin is a cool character. He deserves respect.
The Mandarin is a massive character
Yes.
that could take on the Avengers.
Yes.
He's an Avengers level threat.
Yes.
It's never been given the
Proper.
proper
Much like
treatment.
Doctor Doom.
Well, also, too, you have to remember a lot of Iron Man villains are really kind of trippy and goofy, and they really never went there in these movies with those trippy, goofy villains. They
That's true.
kept them pretty straight.
Yeah, they would have done a little more quirky, but we hadn't had quirky films quite yet.
At that
No.
point.
And we'll get to those. What's the next one?
19, correct?
Yes. Number 19. The first Thor movie from 2011.
Boring.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
And you would
but...
tell it to Kenneth Branagh's face?
Here you go again, Kevin.
Okay, so we do know that throne room with all the gold,
Yeah, that's cool.
they used real gold.
Yes.
Really?
On that throne room. Yeah,
Ooh.
it was a very
Especially on the
expensive set,
pillars.
extremely expensive set,
So Sir Anthony Hopkins got to sit on a real golden
and I believe
chair?
they shot part of it in Albuquerque, right?
Yes. Jason, a friend of the show,
Yeah.
informed us.
Yeah, in
Interesting.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. So that was kind of cool because it was they've got that, and they've got Breaking Bad. You know, Albuquerque has a few things that they're proud of, and that's one of them. And I don't blame them. This introduced us to the actor playing Thor.
Another Chris.
Another Chris, yes. And Helmsworth, he really took the part. You could tell he really wanted to be Thor. He worked with the script, he worked with what he had, and I think he made that character his own in a way, but also made him very similar to what we would see in the comics, which was appreciative. you
And he
know?
put the work in the weight room.
Yeah, and
Well-
there were some funny moments.
Well, also too, you know, when you're dealing with something like Thor, there's a lot of mythology involved. There's a lot of deep storytelling involved there. That I don't know. It was just unintriguing in so many ways. But
So you didn't like his work on Midgard.
it just was whatever. I mean, like I said, I hate to. Oh, my main point I'm trying to get at is you'll see this with a lot of Marvel movies. You'll see this with Disney in general with their franchises. They typically don't make the same mistake twice. They will improve, and you'll notice on our list as we go down, we will give a lot of sequels a lot of love.
That's true.
So Thor, obviously not to blow too many things on this list, but by the time they get to Ragnarok, of course, there's just much more improvement there, and we really learn to love that character.
Mm-hmm. What's the next one?
Number 18. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I did not see this film, so I'm going to stay quiet on it.
Kevin, I think you can agree with me. The lack of a villain, of a
Yeah,
real
a
villain.
true villain. That was a problem.
There should have been a sleight of hand. Whenever they do movies like this, that ghost character is the secondary villain, the lighter villain
Mhm.
that kind of sees the way,
Sees the light.
yeah, and then kind of teams up then with them. This they didn't really have that. They just
It's
had
missing.
the villain was the plot. because they really didn't know where they were going with this movie. Is it fun? Yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer's in there.
Michelle Pfeiffer's great. And she's
there's-
great in it.
Let's be real. There's always an extraordinary lovability to Evangeline Lilly.
Right. Oh yeah. And if we wouldn't have had this movie, we wouldn't have had the way into Endgame,
Right.
Avengers Endgame.
I was kind
And
of
that was part of my prediction too. I knew that was going to be.
Mhm.
But what I was kind of surprised with, they didn't. Since it's a huge storyline in the Endgame, I'm really shocked they didn't push this movie out. They pushed Captain Marvel down your throat, but they did not do that with this one. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah. There's certain marketing that they were gearing towards of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was the first female-led, Marvel superhero, and they really needed that to hit because how well Wonder Woman did for DC, and Wonder Woman did it before Marvel, and they're like, oh man, DC got one up on us. How's that possible? Well, it happened, and Wonder Woman is a better film. Granted, it still has its issues being CGI villains, which I think DC Warner Brothers still needs to work on. It still is absolutely a better film.
Yeah, but I'll say this to Marvel's face, Kevin, just for your amusement. I don't care, because in my view, what I mean is Captain Marvel, if it's a man or it's a woman, they can still possess those powers and they can still use them greatly. So it's like if they want to sell me on the fact it's a woman-led superhero, I don't care. Just don't make it bad.
Do you love women, Darren?
Well, of course.
You're insulting our female.
He loves his
audience.
mama.
But the point, no, I'm not insulting females. I'm simply insulting the fact that it's like that's like a no sale for me. That it's a woman playing Captain Marvel. I don't care.
I think you're mansplaining.
It's
sir.
either good or it's bad. The end.
I think you're mansplaining.
You
sir.
don't even know what that means, Kevin. And before I get someone on the phone to womansplain to you, go right ahead and let's go to the next one.
Number 17, the first Captain America, the first Avenger, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Cool effects that got boring.
Yeah.
Because I like the transition with Chris Evans and what Joe Johnston did, who's a master of special effects art, obviously. But over time, I was just like, oh, the novelty's wearing off.
I think that in another 5 years or so, that taking his face and putting it on the smaller person's body is going to look so incredibly bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a mistake. I don't think it should have happened.
Should she stick this guy like another actor or something?
They should have gotten somebody that looked like him that was smaller. There's a lot of people out here in the world that look alike, and they should have just found somebody. Just plain and simple. I was watching Future Man, and I know this is off topic, really, but it's a TV series on Hulu original, and Josh Hutcherson, he plays the lead in there. But Keith, is it Keith David?
Yeah, he would be. Yeah, from the father and Something About Mary.
Yeah. Okay, so Keith David, he plays a guy in there, and he plays a doctor. And they went back in time, and Josh did. And when they went back in time, they had a different actor play Keith David instead of like trying to make him look younger or anything. And the guy was great. Mm-hmm. He didn't look exactly like him, but he looked like he could when he was younger. But what sold me was his mannerisms and the way he spoke. Mm-hmm. And it was perfect. I don't know who this actor is, and I'm sorry about that. I just watched it last night. I'm way behind on this show, but it's a great show, and that actor was phenomenal at his job. So I think that there's plenty of parts out there that they could give to another actor to help boost their career rather than just trying to put a face over somebody's body that we'll never know who they were.
Yeah, and look, if you're going to do comic book movies, you cannot avoid the origin story. The origin story was iffy for me, and Red Skull deserved more screen time, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that they're bringing Red Skull back into the fold now, officially.
But not Hugo Weaving, though, right?
And nobody cares. This other guy was so good, nobody cares. Really. Wow. Sorry, Hugo. You're out.
So we're on number 16?
Number 16.
16 can be a very sweet number, just like the sweetness over at Spiro's Heroes.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, everyone. Just wanted to mention real quick about a shop in Canoga Park, California called Spiro's Heroes. Elliot, the proprietor of the store, has over 300,000 books in what's called the Temple of Comics. That's Spiro Heroes in Canoga Park, spirosheroes.com.
Man, I've got a cavity. That was like straight sugar.
Yeah, man. It's like injected into you.
Yes, delicious cerebral chocolate.
Now, and the incisors are bicuspids.
Oh, yes. You can never go wrong going and visiting the Temple of Comics and being greeted by the godfather of comics himself.
And there's a rumor out there that there are times you could see a live stream and maybe meet one of us.
Absolutely.
What?
One day, if you stop by at the right time, you might literally see us at the comic shop.
Well, that's true. We do advertise, like not necessarily when we're just there picking up books, but many people have seen us there, which is great when you get to talk to people about the pod and stuff.
And I'm proud to say none of us have a face for radio. So come on down and see what some good-looking men look like.
You're too kind, Darren.
Number 16.
Number 16, 2008, The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton.
As I explained it earlier, I feel like this was the best opening sequence of any Marvel movie simply because it got the origin out of the way so fast that we didn't have to see it again. And also, Spider-Man, but also that opening scene with him, Ed Norton, being chased was phenomenal.
Yeah, in Brazil, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the rest of it's solid. So yeah.
Well, everyone knows probably the best stories you'll get in a Hulk book is when the Hulk's on the run. And this movie kind of figured that out. I argue with the quality of substance. It's just a brief, quick moving film. Like, there's just not much there. Love the Abomination. What a great choice for a villain. But it just kind of ends and you're like, okay, I saw that movie. I'm ready to move on.
But it did have a nice little cameo scene at the end with your boy.
It did.
Tony Stark, yeah.
It did. Also, too, much love to Louis Leterrier for putting up with Ed Norton.
She should have saw him at Comic-Con back in 2007. He did not want to be there for the panel.
Which is unfortunate, because even with the mess, it turned out okay, the movie.
And he was a guy that threw his hat in the ring to want to direct the Avengers film.
Oh, that would have been awful.
And they gave it to Josh. What I think is actually quite incredible is the fact that he currently directed I think maybe every episode, if not almost every episode of the Dark Crystal series on Netflix.
Really?
Louis Leterrier.
I'm pretty sure.
And that's intriguing to me because I think Louis Leterrier, when you give him something simple like a Transporter movie or an Incredible Hulk, he's pretty ideal for that. Something with a bigger universe. I just haven't quite seen him thrive in that. But once again, give the respect where it's due.
Yeah, it's definitely him. Just double checked. Yeah.
All right. Wait, Dark Crystal, as in like.
Yeah.
Elfling.
Yes, the series on Netflix. He directed most of it, if not all of it, for sure.
All right, my friend. We're at number 15.
Number 15, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
What do you think of Guardians 2, Kevin?
It's a fun movie. It's not as good as the first one, in my opinion, but it's a fun movie. You can't go wrong with a classical actor playing a classical comic book villain in Eon, a man that Donald loves very much. He wished that was like his uncle, the man, the legend.
The man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Kurt Russell.
Oh my God, I do actually. I would love to have Kurt Russell as my uncle.
Oh, I tried to marry Kate Hudson for a long time just so he could be my in-law.
I don't blame you.
But
one bit.
So obviously, it's still at 15. So we have problems with this. For me, the length is too much. I feel like that ending was just too long. But were there a lot of jokes? Yeah. If they cut that runtime back, this movie's up our list a lot.
I probably would have put it farther up on the list, to be honest. But, there's three of us. But, for me, this was a very enjoyable film. I almost enjoyed it more than the first one, if not more. I felt the first one had that, when they were like gambling on that skull planet or whatever, I felt that was slow.
It was a drag,
very dragging.
And it was.
And I didn't get that real drag at all with the second one. To me, it just felt like it just popped and went, on and on and on. The only thing that kind of crushed it a little bit was the lack of a true villain in a way.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen the movie, it's spoilers. It's Kurt Russell's character that's actually the villain in this, and it's interesting to see
Star-Lord's father, basically.
Right, that his father's the bad guy, and it's fun.
See the father and son dynamic play out.
Right, but I feel like there could have been a little bit more with that.
His powers confused me too. Like,
Eons?
I mean, yeah, there was it's like he limitlessly could do anything,
Mhm.
and I just want something that's more grounded in explanation, personally.
Right.
So you didn't get the fact that he was one of these, celestials, essentially?
Oh, I got that he was a celestial, but I'm like, okay, he's kind of a ghost, but kind of not. But it just really threw me for a loop. I don't know. I prefer something that's a little more grounded in explanation reality
Oh
for
man,
me.
he's gonna hate the Eternals when that comes out.
Oh my goodness, you are.
Oh, this is why. See, there's so many movies. You can't watch them all.
Oh wait, you have nothing against Angelina Jolie, right? Because she's gonna be one of those Eternals. She is a woman.
Do I have anything personally against her?
She is a
no,
woman.
I've met her.
She's gonna be one of the
I've met
Eternals.
Angelina Jolie. She's fine.
Jesus, Kevin, you're really hammering that home, aren't you?
I mean, dude, are you like auditioning for MSNBC or something?
He's
Like,
mansplaining
come on
to you
now.
right now, Kevin.
Actually, I prefer Fox News, but yes.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, anything's possible. Okay, we said no politics here. You see, we're treading carefully.
I know. Our advertisers are going to be
Right.
upset.
All right,
Yep.
Kevin, what's number 14?
Number 14. This is controversial. My goodness.
Hmm.
Avengers Endgame.
Why is this controversial, Kevin?
Because it's so low on the list.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the middle part of the list. A lot of people think it's top 5.
Okay. Okay. Darren and I agree on this. Too damn long.
Oh my god.
Boring.
Oh my
A
god.
lot of it.
You didn't
Too
like
damn long.
You didn't like them spending like 2 hours, suffocating over the horrors that would happen from the previous
That
movie.
time travel shit was cute for a minute.
For a minute.
Yeah, but not
You
like
didn't feel
25
the power
minutes.
in the death of the Black Widow when she sacrificed herself and prevented Clint from. Actually, I would have.
No,
I would
I want that motherfucker
me
to
too.
die.
Me too.
I'm
I was
sorry.
upset.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Me too.
Jeremy
Renner
Renner
yes,
is like
I
a
agree.
fucking wet rag.
I agree.
Playing Hawkeye.
I prefer
Hawkeye
him to go.
is supposed to be charismatic. He's
Right.
supposed to be the male
Right.
version of fucking Black Widow. He's supposed to be just as charming and can woo the ladies as she's wooing
And
the men.
What's funny is I would have preferred Black Widow training his daughter. Like
No
afterward.
shit,
That would have
right?
made more sense to me.
Good goddamn. Just kill him somehow.
Yes.
Disney, retcon this shit and just kill him. Kill
Look,
him.
I don't know if you heard something get wheeled in here. It's going to be my soapbox.
Come on, here we go. Come and bring it.
I have tremendous frustration when movies are long advertisements for other movies. This is part of the problem you run into with sequels because essentially you need to at least make a movie satisfying enough that you feel like you've experienced something and keep you hanging till the next thing, like our serials. My problem here is that we're going back in time and Disney's like, hey, remember this Marvel movie? Remember that Marvel movie? Go back and see that Marvel movie and that Marvel movie. And it drove me nuts because the reality of the situation is you have a 3-hour film. Where is the action in this movie?
Don't you understand corporate synergy, sir?
Okay, of course I understand it. That's why I'm on the soapbox, Kevin. I'm not on the podium. And also, too, my bottom line here, the ending. The ending was built up well. There was a quality fight there, but I'm sitting here, I'm like, you guys spent $300 million in your production budget. $350, excuse me. That's not even the money you reported spending, okay? Where is that money going? I'm just completely lost.
Robert Downey Jr. does get a good chunk of that.
I'm aware, but the bottom line is that, and when all the female superheroes came up, I'm like, how staged is this? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, as a viewer trying to get into the movie,
You didn't cry when Captain Marvel came in to take out that ship?
Captain Marvel makes me cry for very different reasons. It's just off-putting. We went over this.
One thing I can
22.
One thing I can say, I was thankful because I was terrified they're gonna make her be like the Deus Ex Machina. If that movie, I was terrified they're gonna do that. I said, "Oh my god, they're gonna have her go and take out Thanos." I was so thankful that it didn't actually end up that way.
And speaking of,
She's the worst in this film.
and Donald and Kevin, speaking of, long advertisements for other things, our previous podcast, we have talked about the wonders of Thanos in Infinity War. And I felt like he was neutered tremendously in this movie.
Well, at the beginning, in a way, you're right.
For my taste, I'm like, dude, Thanos ruled Infinity War. And now it's like, yeah, he's just here now.
Yeah. Well,
That's fair criticism.
it is. It is. There's a lot to not like in this film. Captain Marvel, for me, is really high on the list. It's just
God,
not... What an arrogant prick. I'm sorry. Like the way she just talked, like, Oh, I'm on. There's other planets out there that I'm fighting. I can't just be every. And
it was funny. War Machine did ask a good question. Like Rhodey asked a good question, like, "Where you been the whole time?"
Yeah.
And she gave that answer.
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow."
She's like, I just gotta be an asshole to you.
Yeah. It's like
and
we could
if
use you.
If Iron Man did it, it would make sense. But B,
No.
Robert Downey Jr. as an actor would use his Tony Starkism to just kind of suavely. The way you have to do that is to kind of half joke when you're saying it. You have to make people believe that you're kidding when you're being half serious. So they get what you're saying, but they feel comforted by that and okay. But they still know you're being a little snarky.
Yes.
She can't pull that off as Captain Marvel. Or the script wasn't written in a way that she could, because all it came off as was being an asshole. And I'm sorry.
She
like,
just looks so angry in this movie.
yes,
And I don't know why.
Extremely angry. Would just show up in like pivotal points that, oh, we need somebody to do. Oh, there she is.
So-
it's like Superman, but Superman doesn't have any weaknesses.
Right.
No. Sorry. That's why Superman didn't work.
So if you
first.
met Brie Larson, would you tell her to her face how you feel about?
Yes,
about
absolutely. I got nothing to lose. Where am I going?
See, I wouldn't.
Don't you want to make it in this industry?
See,
Not with
I
her.
would. See, I wouldn't. I wouldn't only because I'm like, I got to be realistic. Why does Brie Larson care what I think?
Right.
You know what I mean?
She don't
Like,
give a shit.
She needs you to support her movies.
Oh, she's got plenty of support. Blindly support from the Marvel fans.
Oh, by the way, in a serious
no
note,
offense,
do you
but-
know there's a rumor that she might be nominated for an Oscar for this movie? Supposedly there's a rumor out there.
No.
If that's true,
impossible.
I will laugh hysterically.
You
It's
might as
impossible.
well just continue making award shows a laughing stock while you're at it.
I
It's
mean,
im-
they already
It's
are.
impossible. There's no way.
What's the next?
The rumor was started by her, probably.
Okay, probably.
What's the next movie before I get sick?
Number 13, Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Ugh.
Okay, so the best way you could ever do Mysterio
Yes.
was pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna knock it because it did not take Kevin and I's plot about combining Mysterio with the Chameleon to create this whole thing being basically a ruse. The entire thing, his entire life or whatever, everything. Kevin and I had this great idea, and I still think it's a great idea. And Marvel didn't use it, and so I don't like it as much. There we go.
Well said.
No, you said it's the best you can do Mysterio, which I agree with, but he's still Mysterio. Like, to me, he's not a massively great villain, because once you figure out he's smoke and mirrors, it pretty much eliminates his power. Now, what this movie did, they took it a little further and maybe expanded his powers beyond a reasonable amount for me. Also, too, like, I'm just tired of the banter between the teenagers at this point. It was so much less interesting this time around. See, and I don't want to get into Homecoming too much because we're going to cover that. But Homecoming was a funny movie in many ways. A lot of comedy there, a lot of interesting interaction. The interactions just aren't there. And there's too many quirky, bizarre, weird characters, like the chaperone characters. It just, I don't know. I think that the problem with these new Spider-Mans is they need to settle on a tone of the movie because it's kind of all over the place. And it just, as a viewer, makes me bothered. That's all.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Number 12, Doctor Strange.
Okay.
We got to give it points on originality. This is really not like any other movie in the MCU.
No, you're right. It does play a lot with parallel kind of worlds and
Dimensions.
Ethereal type things. It's a good origin story.
Yes.
It's still lacking a little in substance.
I did like the interaction between Benedict Cumberbatch and Chiwetel Ejiofor.
That was okay. Chiwetel Ejiofor. He was my first Black Panther choice, to be honest. But that was
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, a real African
that was
from Africa.
Yes.
that was that's neither here nor there. I did like Wu, the gentleman that played
Yeah.
Wu,
Yeah, he's
right?
fun.
He
Juan,
was great.
Juan, you mean?
Juan?
The Asian gentleman?
Yeah.
Juan? They're called him Juan?
WON1.
Really?
Yeah.
His name is Juan?
I could have sworn it was Wong, like W-O-N-G, right?
Wong.
One too many Bloody
Or
Marys
Wong.
this morning.
Wong.
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 Not
Okay.
Juan. Juan's a Mexican guy that will sell you coffee beans.
Or flowers. But anyway, continuing, guys. So yeah, this Doctor Strange movie, you've got some quality humor with his cape, which I actually appreciate, despite the fact it's extraordinarily corny humor.
What? You don't appreciate that cape?
I do, but it's corny. But I
love the cape.
I
Love
think
the
it's
cape.
funny.
I love that
And-
that cape is its own thing.
And the thing is, I don't know why. Don't even ask me how. I like Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool.
He's always in something,
You-
you know. And the Dormammu stuff was kind of redundant.
And
I
it's
get
always great when you can understand what the hell he's saying.
it.
Because that Hannibal show, I couldn't do it.
It's kind of Nordic.
I couldn't understand him.
Isn't that
Sorry.
Daniel Craig James Bond movie?
Couldn't do it. But I think that if they're going to do another short, like another 14, 15-minute short, they could do an entire short just with the cape.
Right.
Oh, you mean the cloak, the
cloak,
levitation?
yeah.
Yeah,
Levitation.
because also a point I will make here is that Doctor Strange is really great in Infinity War, but on his own, I don't know if I like him quite as much.
Top 5 character in Infinity War, hands down.
Yes.
Was Doctor Strange.
he brought it.
He was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Numero 11 or 12.
Actually, it's 11.
All right.
It is the 2015 film Ant-Man with Paul Rudd.
Love Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Fun movie.
And this is our last one for this pod, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So Ant-Man is the last one on this one.
It's a fun movie because it's kind of it's a heist movie.
Yeah.
Basically, his
Fun.
buddies, like him and his buddies, they have such great chemistry.
Mhm.
They're hilarious, you
Yeah.
know. And then, of course, this is before they even meet Hank Pym and oh my God, it's brain freeze here. What's the daughter's name?
We'll just call her the
Janet.
Wasp. Just
Isn't
call
it
her the
Janet?
Wasp.
No, that's is that Michelle Pfeiffer's character, isn't it?
No. His daughter is Evangeline Lilly.
Evangeline,
the
but I'm trying
Wasp.
to-
Yeah.
But trying to remember her name is in the movie.
Well, regardless, for me,
Brain freeze.
Hank Pym just stole the movie. What a you know what? It goes to show you, if you are a Hollywood legend like a Michael Douglas and you've just gone away for a little
She
bit,
played Hope.
Hope, there we
Van
go.
Dyne.
Hope Van Dyne.
when
Thank you.
Sorry.
when you come back, and I hadn't seen Michael Douglas in anything for years. I had forgotten, like, dude,
You don't watch Wall Street 2 when Money Sleeps?
I hadn't seen anything in years with Michael Douglas. And when he came back on, I was like, man, I forgot how much I like Michael Douglas.
Darren, it's Michael Douglas, a classic actor. He's up there with his father, Kirk.
I'm aware.
I would put him above.
You put him above Kirk Douglas?
Yep.
When you'll be slapped
It
by all
depends.
the...
Just simply for romancing the stone.
Our
Oh, well, that's a good
our
point, that's a good
generation
point.
too is going to, of course, relate to Michael more than Kirk.
Right. And
That's
didn't
true.
he produce One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest too?
Correct.
Like if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had that movie.
That's
that
true.
phenomenal
Well,
movie
obviously.
with Jack Nicholson, probably his best, if not one of his top 5 best roles ever.
Look,
Also, one of your favorite movies he did, Basic Instinct.
Hey, we would
look-
not have had
Look,
the Beaver.
if
you talking
if we want to have a Michael
The guy
Douglas
has
love
speeder
fest,
shot.
Oh my God.
if
That's right.
if we're just going to do a Michael Douglas love fest, I mean, let's talk about Falling Down. Let's talk about Wall Street. Let's
Let's
talk
talk
about all sorts
about
of
a
things.
relatively new one that came out in 2007, King of California. If
Awesome.
anybody hasn't seen that, I
Ah.
highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal
Good point.
movie. Very quiet, great little film.
The one flaw with this movie, of course, I'm sure you guys agree with me, is the villain in this way. He wasn't as compelling.
No.
You know, Yellow Jacket wasn't
No.
as, you know...
But this is a movie where the origin story was awesome.
Yeah, origin story is probably,
Mhm.
especially you saw the
Mhm.
interaction with his daughter, which was very powerful, you know. And then his what's the guy, the Italian dude? Wasn't he like in Everybody Loves Raymond?
Oh, Brad Garrett?
Is that him? Or is that,
Is
no,
it-
no, that's
Boy,
not
I
him.
really do,
No,
boys.
sorry, that's not him. It's somebody else. Like, you know, the father, kind of the stepfather to his daughter.
Oh, that yeah.
That guy.
That guy that's in everything, but he's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, no, in Ant-Man, once again, most of this came as a surprise to me. And you know, it's kind of interesting. Kevin Feige, which we should really mention because, of course, he has been instrumental in all of this. Kevin Feige is kind of a brilliant person with this MCU in the sense that he has found genres for each of these superheroes. And
Which is
Ant-Man
clever.
is your heist superhero. And Ant-Man 2, there's just something so likable about Paul Rudd. I don't really like Ant-Man in the comics. I think he's lame. But
Paul Rudd brings life into it.
he really did, and he brought a soft side to it that I think it really needed, because you can't take Ant-Man seriously. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that I really like is they made you like him.
Yeah.
So that kind of concludes our number 11. So we're going to have to
Do a part 2 for that top 10.
Oh, yes, we are.
You're going to have to anticipate it. You're going to have to be hunger for it.
And
be thirsty for it.
There will be blood in this episode. Probably ours.
There will be. There will be.
All right. So while you guys are busy looking at nude pictures, I'm going to say goodbye here. My name is Darren.
My name is Supreme Chancellor Kevin.
And I am the ultimate nullifier, Donald.
And there is a very good chance you will be seeing us at
The Righteous, the Homely Comic Book Shop.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.